was first diagnosed with MS in November 2002. So the symptoms came on quite gradually. So I started off with sort of numbness and tingling sensations in my feet, and it gradually spread up to my legs. And then by a couple of days it was this clamping around my chest, feeling like I couldn't breathe, and I completely had distorted feelings and sensations in my entire body. It was also this sort of panic feeling because I didn't really know what was going on. And from that point I spent pretty much the next 2 months lying on a couch, really not able to do anything on my own. Or even just talking about it now, like I can feel the heaviness in my body. It was terrifying because of the unknown, because of not having control over anything, and yet alone of my future, which I thought I had all mapped out before that. I went to see a neurologist, and when he looked at the scans, he said, "You've got MS." It's pretty devastating, to say the least. It's probably the biggest blow a 28-year-old could ever face, being in the prime of my life, and then to have the rug completely pulled out from under you is about as low as you can go, and certainly went to a very, very dark and low place. I was lucky enough to be looked after by my sister, who's a doctor, and she happened to find a book by Professor Jelinek, and she read it to me because I couldn't even hold the book to read it myself. And as she was reading it, what she was reading really made sense to me, because here was a man who had been through it himself. He'd seen what his mother had been through. And he was a scientist and he was a doctor, and he collated all this research, all this evidence that to me was like, this makes sense, this is what I need, and this is the path I'm going to follow. And from that moment it was like, okay, there are things that I can do, and I'm going to do them, and I'm going to get better. So I made changes to my diet straight away, so changed to a low saturated fat vegan plus fish diet, and I started meditating regularly. And in those days when all I could do was lie on the couch, meditation was really what kept me going. It was the only thing I could physically do. I started exercising very gradually as my body allowed. I started doing some very gentle yoga in those early days. I started taking vitamin D supplements and supplementing with omega-3s as well. So it was a big change, but it was never really for me a question of whether to change or not, whether to make all these lifestyle changes, because I knew the alternative, and there was hope because of what I read in Professor Jelinek's book, that there's a chance that I can become better, and it was worth taking that chance. The getting well part has been a gradual journey. It's not one of those quick fix, take a pill and tomorrow she'll be right, mate. But I really noticed that probably within a couple of months, some little changes. And then I think after about a year, I could say that I was living some kind of a normality, meaning that I was able to go back to work at that point. And then I guess by the time that I met my husband, Tony, which was 4 years after diagnosis, I was pretty much well. On our second date, we decided to meet in Borneo because he lived in the UK and I was living in Australia, so we met somewhere in between. And one of the things we decided to do was to climb up Mount Kinabalu, the tallest mountain in Southeast Asia. Before I went, people said, "Oh, are you going to be okay? Are you sure you're going to be able to climb a mountain?" I was like, "Yeah, I can climb a mountain. MS is back there now and the mountain's here and I can go for it and I can do it." So it was a real achievement, and I guess it was another turning point along the way, that I could do anything.